Welcome to another episode of REI Behind the Scenes. Every Thursday, I host an episode of either REI Behind the Scenes or Transformation Time. My name is Diana Lizarazo, and today's guest speaker is Leo and Jacqueline. On REI Behind the Scenes, our guest speakers are real estate investors, and they're here to help you by sharing their experiences. They'll be sharing a property with us. They'll be going through the numbers with us. And the most fun part is they're going to be sharing the problems they've encountered, how they solve it, and if it was something new for them, what they would do differently next time. So if you guys are excited about getting on our guest speakers, welcome them in with some hearts, and let's get them in. I can see they've come on. And before I do bring them on, actually, I just also want to say, if you guys want to share your projects with me, send me a DM and we'll definitely book you guys in. So definitely let me know if you guys ever want to work on a project. Oh, and I see, Jacqueline, I can't add you in. I have a feeling you're probably on your computer. So if you're on your computer, it's only on the phone. Because it won't let me invite you. So if you can just get onto your phone, either that or it's an update. But I feel like Instagram's finally got that one nailed down. So usually it's people they're on the computer instead of their phone. So yeah, how is everyone doing these days? What are you guys thinking of the market? What are you guys thinking of? I can see actually Juan's on. Hey Juan, how are you? I can see Coffee and Mortgages is on. Andrea's on. Hey. Josh. Or I feel like it's Joe maybe. Joe D'Souza is on. Hey guys. We are just waiting for our guest speakers to come on. And we're going to get to hear about their project. Let me just confirm. Hi, Leo. Hi, Jacqueline. How are you?
Great.
Good. You?
Good. Thanks for coming on. So before we start talking about your project, let's just give the viewers a little info on you guys. So what real estate strategies are you into? How much real estate experience do you guys have? Anything you guys would like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been investing since before 2016, but decided to take it seriously in 2016. And we've had a wide verse of different projects we've been involved with. Our most favorite is doing the BRRRR strategy, and we're also involved with some private lending and currently some land development.
And vacation rentals.
Awesome. And so which project are you guys going to be talking to us about?
We're going to be talking about our multifamily building in Niagara Falls.
Awesome. So, tell us, what was the plan? What were you guys expecting to do with it? How many units is it?
Well, this property is actually a value-add property when we bought it. It's a sixplex, the small multi.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the plan was to BRRRR the building, add value, do the tenant turnover, and do some renovations, and increase the property value of the building.
Awesome. And then sorry, go on.
I was just going to add that when we bought it, it was underperforming. And so we thought that we could come in there as investors and make sure that we have this amazing building at the end of it all.
Awesome. And so was it, you got it with the tenants in there, or was it fully vacant?
We inherited tenants. So it was fully tenanted when we purchased.
And what would you say was the level of the renovations? Like, did every unit get renovated, or was it minor changes, custom, or cosmetic, I meant to say? Like, what was the level of renovations that initially you expected to do?
Well, we initially budgeted for $30K a unit. So we bought the building it was 4 units was 1 bedroom, and two units was 2 bedrooms. So the goal here was to turn the whole building into 2 bedrooms. So that's when we had to go to the city to apply for permits to be able to do that. So we budgeted for about 30K a unit, and we realized as we were going, we started adding more stuff. So it turned out to be about 55K a unit instead.
A little over budget, right? Just a little.
And also, what happened was we bought this property in 2021, and then as we were going through it, the cost of materials went up. Some things that we didn't expect to happen, like we had to increase the volume, like the ampage in the building. It was a 200 amp building, so we had to increase that to 400. So all that electrical work was not something that we had originally budgeted for, but had contingency.
Yeah, so that's initially what increased our costs so much drastically, because we had to add contingencies because we're adding washer and dryer to every unit. So initially we didn't budget for that. So
Okay.
So before we get into all that stuff, I was curious, so what did you buy the property for?
we purchased it at 1.75.
And
No,
what did
1.275.
1.275.
1.275, yeah.
And so what were your holding costs like on average, like per month? What were you while you were in the process of going through the renovations?
Our holding cost is so we bought it at 1.25, and because we had to go private because the building was obviously underperforming, so we had to get a private mortgage to carry us for 12 months, 18 months till we complete the renovation. There was a big setback because we had to wait 7 months for permits from the city in order to get the green light to add the extra bedrooms to the units. So our holding costs, it kind of killed us when we had to carry it for 7 months. Because 7 months we couldn't do nothing. We had the contractors waiting, we had everybody waiting, but we couldn't do anything until we got that paper from the city, right? The permits.
So what would you guess around how much was your holding costs in that period of time?
In a period of time, so roughly
in 1 month. You don't have to say the full amount, because just in like 1 month, what are you guessing it was?
Holding cost, because the private it was roughly about $9,000.
Yeah. Okay, $9,000, and then the final number for the renovation. So how much did it cost to get the full renovations done?
Well, it cost we initially budgeted 30K, so it ended up being about 55K a unit. Then we had to upgrade the electrical panels, upgrade the plumbing to every unit to get the washer and dryer in there. So we're looking at probably rough numbers, probably about 300K for the renovations.
Yeah.
And then so now it's been appraised now, right? Did you go through the refinance already of it?
No.
We're just at the finishing stages of wrapping everything up, and then we'll get the last few tenants in there, and then we'll do the refinancing. So we're looking to refinance within the next couple of months, 2 months.
Yes.
Okay. So do you have an idea of what it will refinance for?
Yeah.
Our ARV is we're looking to get about 1.7, 1.8 after repair value.
Okay.
Because we did significantly increase the value. We find that by adding washer and dryers, like that's a huge upgrade to a building. So that way, the tenants don't have to share with COVID and everything. I think that's a huge bonus. And we're able to and like the electrical has been upgraded, plumbing has been upgraded. The units itself are, going to be beautiful units that we have stainless steel appliances and the countertop. They're not granite. We put
quartz
countertops, new flooring.
Everything is new.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful building.
It's amazing. And so for and after renovations, do you know, because of like the changes we've been going through now with like interest rates and everything, are the rents going to be able to cover the new mortgage costs? Or is that something like now you're creating new contingency plans for that side of things now?
Well, we're looking to refinance. We take it to CMHC. So we're looking to go to the energy efficient program. So we're hoping to get, yeah, we're hoping to get financing through CMHC, right? So
Yeah, the MLI Select program. So as you know of it, we thought, well, we do believe that our building could qualify for energy efficiency because we're putting in energy efficient light bulbs and things that would qualify for it. And we're going down that route. So hopefully, so we know that the rent will be able to cover that cost.
Oh, that's amazing. So, are you just in the process of the CMHC, or like are you almost in the refi? Like, I mean, as in, are you almost in like to receive the money? Because I'm just curious. Actually, I feel like I'm going to definitely want to ask you questions about CMHC if you're far enough and along that you know enough.
That's going to be for another video.
yeah,
Okay.
we're still about 2, 3 months out, you know. So
Okay.
We're hoping the
Yes.
renovation are going to be completed by like the middle of next month, like all done. And so by the time we get it tenanted and get those lease agreements in place, we're looking to refi about maybe June, early July.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
our time.
Okay, so I feel like we should definitely do another one because I would love to hear how the MLI Select is because it is quite new it is very new, right? And so a lot of people are now in the process of, getting into the refis and just seeing, what are the results and all that. So it'd be really nice if we can like do a future one on that because just even understanding like, were the benefits were the benefits as good as you expected or all the different things, right? All the different things that get involved because it's so new for everyone that really like the people that are doing it in like the last year and like this year are if anything like learning, we're all we're all in that learning phase of how worth it is it or like how to tweak things for next time. Like it's all a learning experience, right?
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
definitely.
So awesome. So not talking with the phase of like where you guys are in right now. Let's talk about the tenants. Did you guys have an easy time getting them out? Was it hard? Like what was that experience like for you guys?
well, it's not always easy, and that's not something that we try to do. So we hired a property manager to kind of take care of that for us because it's not always an easy process trying to get the tenants out like that. So we definitely had to get our property manager to take care of that.
And she's been amazing. If I can shout her out, Athena Property Management. We live in the Durham area, and we knew that we could not drive down to Niagara Falls anytime there needed to be something done. Like it just wasn't going to be feasible for us. So right off the bat, we did hire property managers to take care of the things around the building and just be able to handle that portion of it. And one of the things that she takes on is dealing with tenants. And she's got an amazing personality and can really understand the tenant. So, she's gone in and had several conversations with them, tried to understand what their needs were, how we can help them, what is it that, they're looking for, if they even wanted to stay in the building. She shared what what we wanted to do with the building and essentially gave them the decision of, we are renovating or we can, essentially offer you the ability to go somewhere nicer during this process or, we did do the cash for keys, which tend to work out really well because some of the tenants were really happy with that decision and really were able to get ahead of where they wanted to go. So we worked with them because I don't feel that it's, the best thing to be able to just kick out tenants. Like it's not good. And we're definitely not those type of landlords.
Yeah, she was able to negotiate with the tenants because obviously there was major renovations going on. So she was able to negotiate with the tenants. So we had a good turnover, about 80%, 90% of the tenants was turned over on the building.
Oh, nice. And that's and yeah, I feel like that's actually and within what time frame were they all out by?
Actually, it was pretty quick. It was, 6 to 8 months?
About 5 months.
5 months.
5 months. We acquired the building in August. The last tenant moved out in January.
That's amazing. That's a testament to your property manager for sure because you hear a lot of horror stories and people being difficult, and you realize the importance of, like you were saying, right? It's like that communication. And I feel like the problem solving, it's like if you just kick them out, if anything, that's going to keep them in more, it's more of a, how can we make this process better for you, and what works for, them, it's like you said, maybe one of them sounds like one of them ended up staying, and I guess they stayed and increased the rents, or did they just stay?
They just
No,
stayed.
they just stayed because
They just
we
stayed.
can't really just increase the rents like that on them drastically like that. We kind of just stayed. So, you know.
So
And
we're
did you
like, that's
still
okay.
end up?
We just wrapped our heads around, knowing that they still have a safe place to live, and we can still upgrade the building with what we're doing to it and be able to manage with those rents for now. And, who knows, later on when they see one of the units, they may want to move into one of them. That's an option. And we'll just ride it out. Like, it's something that, as investors, we have to get our minds around and be okay when situations like that happen. And we can't get all the tenants out.
100%. And it's like that. It's so important to have that expectation, because like that, we're in Ontario, so not much we can do, but at least going in with that expectation of that. Like, I feel that you have 90% with that in itself is a huge thing, because I don't even think a lot of people can get, at least even, I don't even think a lot of people can get 50% of the people out, let alone you guys got like, 90% of them. So that just shows, I feel like, communication is how important communication is, and working with them, right? I feel like if you're working with them, which is probably what the project manager or the property manager did, was a lot of working with them, which helped them feel like there's some type of support and they're willing to look into things and see different possible solutions. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so for that unit, you have the tenant. So that one's not being renovated then? That one's just being left as is?
You got it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's amazing. And so in that process, were there any, so it sounded like, was it pretty easy then? It sounds like it wasn't actually too bad. Any problems that you encountered or unique things that you saw during getting the tenant, doing cash for keys?
No, they were pretty easy. There was this one mom and her son, and they were actually they wanted to move, didn't know how they were going to move, and this was almost like a blessing when this happened, because the lady was just so excited to move. I think they were from Sudbury, if I'm not mistaken, and they were so excited to be able to move back home and use that to live in a place that, that is closer to their family and whatever that was for them. But we didn't have any issues with anybody moving out.
That's amazing. That's great. And so now going through, did you have anything or actually, yeah, so what were your initial plans? You said that, for example, you weren't thinking about putting the washer and dryers in, right? Or the electrical panel, changing the electrical panel. Any other changes that happened during the renovation process that were unforeseen things or things that you weren't expecting to do?
Those were the major ones.
Oh, those were all the major ones. Like we had to like the plumbing we had to upgrade.
Yes.
The electrical panel. Those are the most major ones. So all those passed inspections. So we're happy about that. We didn't have to go back and to remove stuff. So those were the the major ones that we had to upgrade the building with.
Because besides, turning 2 bedrooms or the 1 bedroom into the 2 bedrooms, because they were larger units, like we knew the walls had to come down, and we knew like it needed a little bit more than cosmetic, like new flooring and new paint and the kitchen. So we remodeled some of the building, some of the units as well because of these changes. But like Leo said, the major ones were adding in the laundry and dryer and upping the ampage on the building. So it could handle, right? Like we didn't want the building to have trips, and then we have tenants complaining when they plug their microwave, or if they plug their, toaster in, or kettle.
Or when they're using the washer and dryer.
Yeah, and then everything shuts off. Yeah, no, that would be good.
Yeah, 100%. You don't need your property manager coming like every second because something
Yeah,
turned off.
I know. And then it also goes to show you too, like this building was built in what, like 1960?
Most,
Right?
yeah.
So like none of that was done. And to handle the growth and the changing, I guess, like life around us, we inherited that, and the previous owner probably didn't need to do that, but we did. We
Mhm.
definitely did.
That's awesome. And so you're talking about the permits. What caused, because I'm assuming that that was definitely like an issue, probably an unforeseen issue. I would assume that 7 months was not, you were not expecting that to happen. Do you know what was the cause for that, or what happened to make that such
Well,
a delay that what like that?
it's just like we don't really know exactly, but it was the middle of the pandemic, and then the person that was handling our file ended up getting COVID, so then they were off for a couple of weeks, and then we're going back and forth because we had to upgrade the fire safety plan, so we're waiting for the fire stations to get back to us.
Yeah.
So just delay after delay,
Yeah.
and it ended up being a total of 7 months
Yeah.
that we didn't really at first budget for.
Yes.
So.
We thought, we expected, like, when we ran our pro forma, this was supposed to be done between 12 to 18 months, right? It's literally going on 2 years now, so it
Yeah.
surpassed that time frame. So we definitely did not, because that 7 months, like the entire renovations could have been completed in those 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we followed up almost every week between our property manager and our architect. We were following up constantly. It was, and like Leo said, it was just delay after delay. Somebody, people not getting back to us. They probably didn't have an answer. Then delays with the fire department, getting a hold of someone. Like, yeah, it was frustrating.
I could imagine. Yeah, 7 months is definitely long, especially when you're not expecting it. I think that's the worst part is when you don't have that expectation and you're kind of like, come on,
Yeah.
we got things to pay for. We need to start actually making this thing cash flow and stuff.
Exactly. And then it just felt like we were just, paying the mortgage down, we were paying the like bills, and that's it. Like the building was just sitting there, like just empty, doing nothing, and we couldn't go in there, right? Like we didn't want to do it that way. It just wasn't right. It didn't sit well with us to not have the permits.
100%. And like that, like I feel like, I mean, because I know a lot of people like to, let's say, not go with the permits, and I'm with you guys. I'm such a person of just like, yes, let's say these types of delays may happen and unforeseen things. I feel like it's not always so common, like that, like, okay, COVID happened, so that just kind of like messed up a lot of cities with trying to get things done. But in the general sense, it's not like there's more even with the things that you've done, like there's more benefits in having it done that way, and just knowing that your property has everything it needs. And like you said, like if you didn't ask, maybe you never changed the electrical panel and you'd be wondering why every second it's tripping. And
Yeah.
imagine if that happens. Imagine if it even happens when all the renovations are done, and
Yeah.
maybe you have to tear up things because of that. Maybe you have to tear up walls and stuff. So, yeah, I feel like following the standards and like having like that, having the permits, because sometimes like that, if you don't know, at least that will bring up things that you didn't realize, and then it just like helps you get it all done now instead
Yeah.
of having to like rip up things that you've already done because you didn't take it into consideration.
Yeah, do it right the first time,
Yeah, because that would have been a huge headache. And you know what? We thought about that too, right? Like imagine these beautifully already done units and then having to like when tenants have moved in and we're telling them sorry, now we've like that's just unnecessary costs. Do
Yeah,
it from the get-go.
100%. I completely agree. And so for the renovations, did you come across like specifically, let's say with the contractors or anything, were there issues that you encountered there, unforeseen things or anything?
No, no. I think
No, there was one issue, well, almost an issue with the plumbing, but then our plumber rectified it, so it didn't end up costing us additional costs.
Mhm.
It was a little bit of a scare, but with one of the
What was
pipes on
that?
and the Well, there was a one of the pipes in the wall or something broke like that, and then the plumber called me, and then he ended up calling me back and saying, don't worry about it. He fixed the problem, so it's not going to cost us additional cost to open up walls and stuff, right? So, but other than that, everything else it's been going smooth with the renovations.
And then the tradespeople too, like we've got some really amazing trades on there. So they've been very diligent with following up with us, keeping us informed about what's going on, showing up. So we never had any issues with having to like have somebody come on to the project and then leave because they weren't showing up or they weren't doing their work. So that's been a huge blessing for us.
Well, we had one trade that
the HVAC?
Yeah, the HVAC guy disappeared. So we had to,
But that was like recently, like in the last like 2 months, I think.
so we had to source and find another guy to come in and deal with our HVAC situation. So that was okay.
And so what was did they start the work and then disappeared, or they never even made it to coming on? What do you know what happened in that?
Yeah, like they started to work, and I guess he had some family issues or problems like that, and then he just disappeared. So then we were like, okay, you know what? We'll just source somebody else to our other contacts, and then we had another HVAC guy come in and then deal with finish up the job.
So again, communication is huge, right? Like on both ends, whether it's trades, whether it's property management, whether it's us being the owners, like you got to communicate because maybe something could have been avoided or, we don't know what happened on his end. And it would have been nice to just have that communication because, we've already waited 7 months. If we had to wait like another week or two, we could understand, but there was no communication.
Yeah. I completely agree. I've had situations like that. Same thing. We had our landscapers disappear because, like you said, in 2021, the prices went up so much that literally the landscaping costs, like the quote we got at the very beginning, would have probably, it would have, it cost us double, so it probably would have been double. And I think he was so, I think for him to come back to us and be like, oh, by the way, actually, this is the new price. I think he was, probably thought of us more as a retail buyer, where a retail buyer would have been crazy and just been go leave us or whatever. But for us, we would have, like you said, if the communication was there, we actually knew why they just kept up, they didn't come at all. But if we knew why, I felt like that, you kind of resolve it, and maybe could have still been they could have still worked there. We would have been we are actually also contractors, so we know what's going on in the market. We could have empathized with them, be like, don't worry, we understand. We're not here to persecute you because the budget has had to increase now,
Yeah, exactly. And then I think people just, start feeling like they're ashamed or they don't want to come to you, so it becomes their issue without coming to you and getting over whatever they're going through and saying, having open communication and dialogue about, certain things would have been better.
Yeah, 100%. And it just, like you said, it shows how important communication through everything is, because sometimes it can be it can be such an easy fix and we just don't know about it because we've not had that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so
true.
The renovations themselves wasn't then, you didn't really have much delays, except for, the added extra things that you wanted to do. But besides that, there was no actual delays.
No.
And so what made you guys shift from that? You said specifically with the washer dryers, not budgeting it and having the budget, or not putting it in the budget, and then what made you even change your mind, or even bring it into your mind to add that in?
To be honest with you, it was more when we seen the size of the units, we're like, okay, we can add an extra bedroom and add washer and dryer. So we had the space for it, and then we initially had the plumber come in and do an evaluation and stuff and check the stuff out. And he said, yeah, it could be done, right? So then we're like, okay, let's go for it. So that's we had the space, so we're like, why not,
And again, it's being able to increase the building value, right? Yeah. And that's the great feature for tenants. Who would not want to move into a building and be able to have literally their own washer and dryer, because we know friends, we know people that have lived in apartment buildings, and the one thing they always say is like they don't really like to share laundry. So if we can offer that service, then we can have long-term tenants. We can have people that's going to take care of our units, and people that feel that our units are what they can make their home.
Yeah, we're always looking for ways to increase the rent, like the little ways like that. Washer and dryer. That's one of the ways we can increase rent, right? So we're always looking for ways to increase the rents.
So overall, it increases the value of the property.
Yeah, 100%. It comes exactly what you're saying. It's good in both senses, right? It's like you can increase the rent and increases the value of the property. Although like that, I feel like it'd be really nice we do a second one of this, because I'm curious to see because like that, even appraisals on the residential smaller side, there's lots of like things that are changing. Or for example, like let's say like that, maybe they're not just they're not appraising as well as they would expect them, even let's say when you add things. So I would love to, hopefully we can do a second one of this one, because commercial side, it's obviously a different type of appraising and numbers. So I'd be curious to see like how different or off it is to like what you were expecting and this changing market, like there's just, so many things. I'd be definitely curious to see if you think in the end, in the sense of the appraisal sense, if you think it was still beneficial. Because usually definitely I've heard, I've also experienced like if you don't have a furnace or AC unit in the house or the building, that increases a lot compared to a replacement, for example. And the same thing, like adding new washer dryers are also in the appraisal sense really add value. So I'd be definitely curious to hear on how it goes for sure.
Yeah, we'd love to do that. And if we're even able to, we can schedule it where maybe we can be at the property and be able to give you a tour of our updated units. I think that would be amazing as well.
Yeah,
so
we definitely love that.
We were actually conservative with the numbers, because originally when I ran the pro forma, in 2021, the building, the AVR was about like 2 million. So we're being very conservative with our numbers.
With the
being,
new rates,
1.6, 1.7.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And so, okay, so we went through the renovations, the tenants. Any other problems that you guys encountered, or anything new that you guys had encountered on this project that you may think like that you may want to do differently or change for next time?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the permits were unforeseeable. Like there was no way we could have avoided that in any sense. Whether it was the market of Niagara, whether it would be in like Windsor, that is something we just could not foresee. Something that we do differently.
I would say just budget for delays, budget.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, for delays, because we got delayed 7 months with these permits, and we had to carry the property for those whole 7 months, as you know, right? So budget, have contingency plans, budget properly.
Yeah, contingency should be should be a substantial amount, not like 25K or 50K. Look at 100 to almost 200K in contingency.
Run your numbers very conservative,
Yeah. And that's a good point. And I feel like especially in nowadays, hopefully that everyone's really starting to think of that. Because I feel like in the hype of things, a lot of people were forgetting about being conservative with their numbers. Whereas like that, if you guys weren't conservative with your numbers, would probably be a completely different story what would be happening right now, right? And that being said, actually, so talking about, because I think one of the things that probably you guys had to go through or deal with was you were on a private, so you had to probably either go through a renewal or get a new private. How was that experience?
Oh, boy.
Not good.
Not good.
Oh, man. Yeah.
We had a 12-month private, so once after that 12-month, we had a grace period. I think it was about 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
So once after that grace period is over, then we had to go back and pay the broker fee,
Yeah,
lender
fees.
fee.
Yeah.
So that really killed us again too, because all those fees could have been avoided, right?
Yeah.
But then again, the delays was not our fault, it's uncontrollable, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was not good.
And so was
Yeah,
so
we don't
you
want to
had
do
to
that
go
again.
with the. Sorry, say that again.
We don't want to do that again.
Yeah, and it makes you like that for the future, probably makes you rethink of even how to do privates or just how the privates will
Yeah.
end and like these kind of things. It definitely starts making you think of, like that. Like I think even, I mean, we never had to do a refinance, but I know that was one of the things I always thought of not a refinance. I mean, if we had to renew,
Renew.
I'm always asking like, how does that process work with them if they accept it? Although again, what you're saying is, I feel like in these times, because times are changing, they may have said one thing at the beginning, and because of like all these interest rates and hikes and everything, it would have probably still been different, to be honest, maybe in the end. Just because, I feel like back then everyone's so confident to do renewals,
Yeah.
right? Whereas like now a lot of private lenders in last year and this year, a lot of them won't even renew, like a lot of them are just
Yeah.
like, we just want
Very
our money
true.
back, figure it out with
Yeah.
another lender, right? So,
Yeah.
were you guys able to maintain with the same private lender, or did you have to switch to a different private lender?
Well, we had multiple private lenders on the deal. Some of them stayed on, and then some, obviously, like you said, they needed the funds to do whatever. But what
Mm-hmm.
really killed us was the lender paying that lender fee again, paying that because we already paid it at the beginning, so now we have to pay it a second time.
We went through a
Yeah.
So
broker, so it wasn't like our
yeah,
own personal,
yeah.
lender that we had known.
Yeah.
So we had to pay those fees twice because of the delays and setbacks that we had, right? So
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
what I would say to that is, like, as real estate investors, I think it's also really important to network and be able to connect with the people that you can have as your, like, you build that relationship with as a private lender. So you can go to them and you have that working relationship. We do find, obviously, going through a broker is amazing. Like, it helped us out so much. But for us also, it's good to have somebody there or a network of people that we can tap into. And this is what we've been working on over the last little while as well, building our own network of people just to avoid sometimes those fees, especially when we had to wait 7 months. We could have just, ended that and then just gone with, strictly private and pay minimal fees.
Mm-hmm.
The
Or
fee.
like that, it's just that relationship does become so important because, for example, if they knew you, they may be like, oh, you know what, don't worry, it's gonna, just keep it going as it is, right?
Yeah,
And sorry,
exactly.
you're gonna say something?
No, the fees could make or break your deal, So you got to really think about those and really budget for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And so, okay, so you did have, so you had a mix. So you had some stayed, some went on, um, and and so how much of an increase to the budget? Because so you had renovations increase the
Yeah.
budget, and then you did have already the time frame had doubled
Yes.
for you, or is it in the doubling? And then the fees. How much extra? Do you know roughly how much extra that ended up costing you?
Just in fees, it costs us about $34,000. That's just in fees to renew, right?
Mm-hmm.
About $34,000 it costs extra.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you're saying actually, so your private land, you were saying it was around 9,000 a month. So that was an extra 1 year of that.
Yeah.
And
So that
and then your
remained the same.
pardon?
That remained the same. So that was good. That didn't increase,
Well, what I
which was very helpful.
meant is like your expectation on your numbers is 1 year. So technically it increased just because it's like now second year of the same. That's what I
Yeah.
meant by that, yeah.
Okay.
And
Yes.
then yeah, and then your renovations increased by like 20 grand, you said per unit, right?
Yeah.
So how scary was that for you guys? And even in the sense of like, I don't know if you had partners, but like how was managing that whole thing, right? Because even if you have partners or you're managing it within yourself, that in itself is it is a stressful and kind of scary thing to go through. So I was curious, like, how did that go for you guys?
No, it was really scary. We didn't have partners on it, and a lot of the renovation budgets we kind of used our own capital and
Yeah.
borrowed it from my other company, and so thank God for that because we didn't have to use like for the renovation costs we didn't need to raise capital because we're pretty much using my own funds to
Yeah.
do it. So it was really scary because the funds after a while the funds run out, right? So. Um, but at the last finishing stages, we definitely had to raise capital. We had to raise 150, 160K just to get us to the finish line, pay off the contractors and the electrician and stuff like that. But it was at some points it was really scary because we're carrying this profit. Like I said, it's almost we budgeted for 12 months to 18 months, and it's going on 2 years now. So it's like it was really scary, you know.
So we're
Yeah.
grateful that we have an active business where we were able to pull out funds and, move money around like that. Because if we didn't have that, and this is why, again, you got to, when you're running numbers, have a contingency. Because if we didn't have that active business, like we would have had to probably raise funds and then, it's more interest, more costs, things like that. So we're super grateful that we didn't have to go that way because I'm not sure how that would have worked out for us.
Yeah, we're in a cash flowing business that we're able to, like Jackie said, move money around, borrow funds, put it back, so we're very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But everything always works out, so we would have made it work out for us because sometimes when you hold that belief that things are always going to work out, even though it may not look that way, it always does.
100%. And I know you guys are very big on mindset, which is probably how everything worked out. I feel like when you have that positive mindset, it's all about solutions, right? It's just like, what is the solutions instead of getting bogged down by the problems instead. So that's amazing. And it just shows a testament to you guys, right? It's like how you guys can, that you kept, things positive, and it was just like, okay, how do we solve this? How do we move forward? How do we make it happen? Because you're right. I feel like if it's only seen as a problem, you probably would have just sold and lost money and that's it, right? But right? But for you guys, it was a non-negotiable. Like, we're making this happen. It's going to work out. And when that mentality is there, then your mind is open to possible solutions that you may have never thought of, right? Someone may bring something to you and you're like, oh my God, I can do this or that or whatever.
Yeah, it's all about reframing.
Pardon?
It's reframing things, right? Not staying in the negative and finding a way to turn that situation into a better one. There always is a way. It's up to us to be able to find it. Some people don't find it. They don't look for the solution, or their minds aren't open to that solution, but there is always a solution.
And then you're 100% right, Diana, too, because if you were somebody else, they would have probably got frustrated and sold, But we're like, we're hanging on to this. We're not selling. We're going to take this to the finish line, get it done, and continue with our plans with this property.
So what I want to just add to that is, this is why it's so important to have a vision, because if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to see that the end result is this fantastic thing that you've created. So if you don't have a vision and you encounter problems like this, you're going to want to give up because you can't get past the problem. But when you know that there's a greater purpose and we've built what this building is going to look like and how we're going to hold on to it and want to have it for a long time and create generational wealth, that is our motive. That is our our why. So that is what keeps driving us to complete it, to get through whatever it is that we're going to get through, because at the end of it all, we have this amazing experience that we have grown from and learned from, and a beautiful building.
I love it. And just like that, like, it's a huge learning experience that I'm sure you will, your thinking has already changed for the future projects, and you're going to actually now even think much more differently, or do even, let's say, different contingencies, or just, your mind has already changed with that project, and now the next one, I'm sure, will be analyzed probably much more differently, and you'll be taking so many different points from what happened in this one to the next one.
Absolutely. We've grown as investors and as, individuals from 2021 to 2023, right? There's been just a massive growth and shift in how we analyze our network, what we're looking for next in a property. So absolutely.
100%. Love it. And actually, so one last question, because I feel like that, I feel a lot of people in these times that we just went through, there's been so much change, whereas maybe beforehand, the kind of problems we've been encountering now probably would have actually never happened before. Curious on those kind of the changes, like even like that, like what learning experience did you have from this period of time, during COVID that you would probably bring forward to future projects? Or you think, for example, even that you may think that will never happen again, unless if something again crazy like this happens,
Yeah, so again, in 2021, we went in there thinking, yes, this building's going to be done in 18 months or 12 months. It's going to be amazing. By next summer, we planned for the year. By next August 2022, we can refinance this. And then in that period, we weren't. And then the market shifted. So, we weren't going to have a bidding war and have these super ridiculous refinance amounts anymore, right? Interest rates, obviously, have increased and things have shifted. I mean, that we cannot control. We can only control us and how we view that and how we show up every day to deal with things like that. But moving forward, I think it's, again, it's us. It's us being accountable for our own actions, taking responsibility for who we are as investors and how we, deal with our projects and deal with our management and deal with, the trades and things like that. In terms of what, some things are just unavoidable. Every building that we will, or every project that we do is going to be different. Every investor that I've spoken to that, has thousands of doors or has 300 doors, every project that they have dealt with has been completely different. So
yeah, you got to run your numbers very conservative, have a contingency plan, have a backup plan, just in case, because these things usually always, most of the time doesn't really go 100% as planned. So you have to be able to make quick movements and adjust yourself really quick, before you default or lose the property or have to sell, So those are a couple of things,
So those things you can actually do, right? Those things are in our control by being able to budget, talk to other people, have a good network of people you can rely on when things, goes a little bit unexpectedly, and then there's the things that you can't control. So just like Leo said.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, those are all great points, and I feel like the theme for today is really communication, right? Because even if problems are coming up, like you said, even people with 100, 1,000 doors are always encountering problems, but I think what differentiates those that fail to those that are still growing and succeeding is that communication, like you said, the network, just talking to everyone and because it may even happen, fine, we're blocked in it because we're stuck in the grind and trying to do with it, but talking to someone else can just be so impactful because you're so in it, you're so frustrated, you're just sometimes your mind is blocked, all of a sudden you say I'm going through these problems, and then they tell you something that you're just that is so easy, or that's such a fix, how could I not even thought of something like that, just because we get sometimes kind of stuck in it. I love that you shared this project. It was so awesome to hear. Thanks for sharing it. And it's, especially for the fact that it's tough things happen, but it's it happens to all of us. And it's about, persevering and getting through it and getting it done. And we'll definitely be excited to hear the end. And that, I think MLI Select will be a new experience too. So that'll be so interesting to hear how that goes, and even your views on it, for a future one. So for your future projects.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for coming on. It was so awesome to hear about your guys' project, and thank you.
Thank you
for having us. This was great.
This is great. You enjoy your day. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. And if you guys want to, so Leo and Jacqueline will be tagged on this. So if you guys want to follow them, see what they're up to these days, they will be tagged on this episode. And if you guys love what you hear from me, give us a like on the video, follow me, and you'll stay updated to what shows I've got going on. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.